Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We are now moving on to Season 3, Episode 10, cryptically titled 731. Brian, tell us where this stands in the X-File legacy.
Well, it just so happens I forgot to look up where it says a new feature that I instigated myself and I have forgotten to do it. But
it's okay, Brian. Apology is policy.
That is true. That is definitely true. Nice segue. Love it. Right. While I'm just looking up that, why don't you tell me your memories of this? Do you even remember seeing this one before?
No. This one's a complete blank. I went into this not knowing what I was expecting, other than what you told me the last time, which was the Mulder stuff is really quite exciting, and the Scully stuff is very talky and plot heavy and not as interesting on rewatches. But of course, this felt like a first time watch for me.
Yep. Okay, so what I can tell you is that so if you remember the first part to this two-parter was, I think it was like 46 or something like that. It sat around the 40s on IMDb in its ranking. This episode actually sits at number 25.
Wow!
So it's got an 8.8 on IMDb. The highest rating any episode has is 9.4, just for reference point.
How many episodes are there in total, Brian?
There are 217.
Wow, so we're talking like almost top 10% here.
Oh yeah. So the lowest mark any episode has is a 6. So when you think of IMDb scores, a 6 is kind of like a 1, and a 9 point. Well, in this case, a 9.4 would be your 5-star kind of thing. So anything over a 9, you're looking at like 5 stars. And then so this is looking at like a 4.5-star rating based off what I can see from the consensus on IMDb. But.
Right. Okay, so shall we jump into this episode?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay.
And to start off with, we're going home, West Virginia. We've got a research facility with an army raid in a warehouse. And something is watching from under some planks of wood or something. Looks very strange. There's a kind of a lot visually going on here in this episode, just right at the start.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if you look at the gate when the truck smashes through it, we do actually see that it's the Hansen's disease research facility. Right off the bat, we know this is a place where there is the potential for disease, for dangerous kind of substances, shall we say? So we see this guy is watching these army guys who stormed in there and rounded up what appear to be aliens.
Yeah, this is wonderfully shot. Wonderfully shot, because it's all like you feel as if you're getting strong images of things, but they're blocked by people running in front of it and a lot of frantic movement. And it's glimpses, and it's making you think something else. I thought this was a brilliant opening scene, because even when they're sitting in the back of the kind of people carrier, you see these elongated fingers that just look otherworldly. What did you think of this, Brian?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen this, so this was quite fresh. And I will say right off the bat, going back to my comment from the last episode and what you just kind of brought up again, I think I was talking a load of crap, to be honest, last episode, because I actually really found the Scully stuff, both sides in this, I found to be very intriguing indeed. And I love how perfectly they mesh together. The way the two, it doesn't feel like Scully's off doing a separate thing, Mulder's doing a separate thing, and they're desperately trying to find some way to connect them. This is one situation with two very believable, very plausible explanations. And literally from this case, Scully backed up, but also Mulder is. But this opening, coming back to it, you know, seeing it again for the first time in years, really, I actually found it quite horrific. It's just so basically these soldiers round up these aliens, or what you assume are aliens at this point, and they line them up almost like Nazis, really, and then gun them all down, just kind of shoot them into a ditch. It is very World War II Nazi-esque kind of behaviour, and it's quite horrifying as a result, I think.
It's a horrible image, and it's even get the moment of one of the soldiers leaning over into the pit, just looking, I'm assuming, for any kind of movement, and just satisfies, just walks away happy.
When all of them walk away, they look. There's no real. There's not even any kind of sadness there about what
remorse
or remorse. Yeah. They're walking away like they've just, business as usual, job done. Let's go smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast. It's just like that, and that makes it more horrific. Just the fact that their attitude is so nonchalant, like this is just a day's work. So,
another day in the firing line.
So we get the opening titles, and as you've already alluded to, we get a different. We don't get the truth is out there on this one. We get apology is policy, which is really what this episode is all about. So
I kind of like the idea of that, but we'll get to that, I suppose, near the end, and then almost after we've kind of forgotten about it a little bit, because we're on to the next mystery, we get flung back onto the train again, and we're like, yes, the Mulder is now on that train. And we have Scully, and
she
X.
demands to know what's on the train. So X is there, and she's like all up in his face, like, what's on that train, what's he getting into? And X says that he doesn't know, so she pulls a gun and he just takes it from her. And then says that she needs to find out about the chip. So for her, the chip is the key, according to X. So what do you think about this interaction between the two? X always comes off as a very dangerous character.
Yes, well, we know Scully can handle herself. She can. We've seen it multiple times, and he, within the blink of an eye, instantly disarms her. And it's quite. It just adds to him. But I've kind of came to the fact that X stands for exposition, because, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because he's literally there for information and to add curiosity to the scene, right? But he does it in such a way that you are fascinated, that you're curious about what he wants to say. You want to see him. You want exposition. You want that guy to turn up and allude to stuff. And it's a wonderful way, because normally these characters are kind of grating or one-dimensional. And X just feels like somebody you want to see return to the series constantly. And I like the mystery that he lays up here. He's given, it kind of alludes to knowing nothing but dropping a set of breadcrumb. Like, I don't know a thing. You should look into that chip you've got. And then,
it's exposition, but the kind that always leaves you wanting more. Like, dude, give me more than that. There's just like, more than that. Tell me more. It's just it's quite frustrating in many ways. And you never quite know whose agenda he's living by. Is he living by his own agenda? Does he work for someone? Is he trying to scupper Mulder, help Mulder? We never really know.
He's like the Asian wise man that just speaks in riddles, and then you're like, I think it's profound. I'm not too sure. Okay, you want more, but it's really good. So then we have on the train Mulder climbing inside, looking around, and kind of grabs in a conductor to talk to, and I don't know what it is. I'm instantly like, this conductor's not just a conductor. No.
Yeah, I always thought there was something off about this guy, like he was going to be revealed to it, but no, he genuinely is just a conductor.
Initially, I'm like, oh, don't give him a gun.
Yeah. Mulder, have you learned nothing?
Yes. I mean, I know you always lose them, so you're just giving them away.
Yeah. But he asks the conductor to get into the train car, but he tells him that he can't. And the only man on board who might be able to get him in is Dr. Shiro Zama. But he's not in his compartment. So Mulder gives the conductor a gun and tells him to keep hold of Zama if he finds him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but not only is it a bad idea to give a public servant a gun, but I mean, admittedly, he takes the bullets out. So, but even so, you give this guy a bit of false confidence, send him into a situation where he's got no clue what he's walking into. His job is to collect tickets. Okay, his one and only job is to collect tickets off people and make sure they're meant to be on the train. His job is not meant to keep passengers in their cars by putting a gun and the guy just looks like he doesn't have the stomach for it. He doesn't have the nerve.
I don't think he's actually good at his regular job anyway, because he never asks Mulder for a ticket. And Mulder gives him no identification whatsoever. Mm-hmm. He's just like, I'm FBI and you're getting a gun. Just like, okay, but I thought the guy was going to be bad. I thought he was going to be a plant for the enemy.
Yeah. As the episode goes on, though, you can see that this guy really just
there's a moment later on
depth.
that we'll get to, which I felt was one of the most honest interpretations of someone.
Scully goes to Agent Pendrell, and he tells her that the chip is capable of storing memories, which in Scully's words means that you could know a person's every move. So if this is sending her memories out somewhere, somebody can literally see what she is doing day by day. Now this is the bit that this is probably my one criticism of the episode. He finds the name of the manufacturer on it. What? What? So he traces their whereabouts through a delivery record. So apparently this manufacturer don't have a contact. You can't just look them up and see where they're going. But he traces where they are through delivery records. But if this boggles my brain. So this is a chip that's been developed by the government for secret projects that they don't want anyone to know about. Very dangerous projects, in which they're abducting women, experimenting on them. And the people they use to create these chips, they allow them to put their little trademark logo on there. It's like if you found some kind of espionage equipment in the White House that's looking into what the president's doing or whatever, and it's got the Disney logo on it. It's just like, oh, Disney.
But that's the strange thing. It's like it's got the company name on it, but nobody knows who the company is. Okay. I feel like they needed to get Scully moving on to the next bit. Yeah. And
seriously, this was the best they could do. No, I'm not buying it, but whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's just one of those things, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And then we have on the train, we've got the doctor.
Before you move on, there's a little moment when Scully goes, "Nice work, Agent Pendrell," and she puts her hand on him, and you can see in his face like, "Oh, she touched me. I'm never washing my arm."
Yeah. You too, Skilly. He's like, oh, you too.
Was it like you keep it up too or something? Keep it up yourself. Keep it up yourself. And it's like, keep it up yourself.
So yeah, we jump onto the train. We've got Dr. Savage walking about, and he goes into he suddenly starts to be chased by McHattie.
Yeah, the red-haired man, as he's referred to in the credits.
I'm just calling him McHattie. And gets him in his in the bathroom, and instantly pulls out a garrote. And closes the door just as Mulder comes through. Yeah, and you're like, oh.
I feel like you've got to be pretty damn sure of yourself as a hitman if a garrote is the weapon of choice.
Yeah,
especially if somebody sees. I mean, like if you're coming up behind someone, fair enough, but like you're literally standing in front of them and you're just pulling it. Hold on a minute, let me just need to pull out my garrote. It's just like Zama at that point. He knows he's got nothing to lose. He should at least put up some kind of fight. I've
got to imagine, like, I don't know about you, but I've had headphones in my pocket, and somehow when I pull them out, they're like a massive knots. It's like how the hell does that? Imagine pulling out a garrote and it's all like tangled. Like, hang on a sec.
Yeah, just bear with me. But he's got to be sure of himself. This guy. That's all I can say. So, yeah, we go back to Scully, and Scully questions the men. So she turns up at this. She heads to Perky, West Virginia, where Pendrell has tracked the delivery note. Finds the abandoned research facility, along with the disfigured men still hiding out there. So so we get this nice moment where she lifts up the floorboard thing and kind of points a gun down and a torch, and then we just see all these men, these diseased-looking leper people.
Yeah.
Kind of,
don't hurt us.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it just made me giggle.
If ever there was a moment not to laugh at, it's like people in the most dire distress.
There's a 4-foot redhead. Don't hurt her.
Hey, from down there, she probably looks pretty tall. But
it just kind of tickled the funny bone, that one. But the guys they all look pretty. They have a unique look about them anyway.
But they don't look alien at this point.
No. No, they don't.
So at first, when the ones we saw getting shot into the ditch, they look distinctly alien. But now that we get a much closer look at them, we see that they are indeed men.
It's back to the way it was shot at the start, with things constantly blocking the camera and viewing. I found myself kind of going like, as if I could probably get a better vantage, but that kind of plays into your mind of, was I seeing things? They probably were. If you paused it, they probably were dressed like aliens. But I guess that dubious nature in your mind, which is this episode is all about that. Yeah.
So Mulder finds Zama's body. It's essentially just a. This is
so good.
It's just a bridge in the gap scene. It's a bridge in the gap scene, but it's just a little boy.
She's just sleeping.
She's just sleeping. He's just sleeping. It's just,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. The mother's like proper freaking out. It's like, oh, he's dead. It's like, he's just sleeping. Go on.
He's got a red line around his neck and blood coming out.
But he didn't even identify himself or anything. It's like, he's basically the killer telling this woman to just take a kid down the other car because this guy's sleeping. No,
it's just ruffling the boy's hair.
I feel like Mulder is showing the highest level of incompetence in this episode.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think when he hit the top of that train car,
just had an accident. Oh, it's so good.
Okay, so I think doesn't the conductor come at that point? Maybe that's
yes. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's the next scene. Yeah. So go back to Scully. Like I said, that was a kind of bridge in the gap scene. Scully questions the men, and they turn out to be lepers. And they say they've been hiding from the death squads. One of them shows her the bodies that were shot at the beginning, and just as he does, another death squad shows up. They both do a runner. They kind of get separated. Scully gets ambushed. Then she hears gunfire, as if to suggest that the guy she was just with has been terminated.
Yeah, they double down on that mass grave by just showing you the carnage.
Yeah, it's dark. I remembered this was coming, but I don't know if it's just coming into adulthood or whatever. Just it's dark. It feels really dark. Yeah, just seeing all them bodies in the grave, because yes, this is science fiction, this is fantasy and whatnot, but what you're looking at there is very much a real world situation. Stuff happened, you know.
It's a large dose of reality.
Yeah, a real large dose of reality. And it really,
they don't even cover the bodies up. They're just left there.
Yeah. Well, one would assume that, you know, once they've filled up that grave, they'll cover it up. I mean, they're not expecting FBI agents to come knocking on the door at this point. So, well, maybe they are, which is why they've turned it to this point. But
like when they did the killing, they would have dealt with that situation right there and then.
At least put a bit of topsoil. A bit of topsoil over them. Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. So
horrible.
But it does give credence, I think. All of this stuff, it gives credence to Scully's line of thought. You know, by the time we get to the end of this episode. So
yeah.
Right. So Mulder tells the conductor to make sure that the driver doesn't stop the train until he's found the killer. He checks the train car, sees the alien through the little hole.
Yeah.
And then just as he sees it, the McHattie basically uses his garrote, kind of comes up behind him. They have a bit of a fight. Mulder, once again, gets his ass kicked.
A bit of a fight. It's one-sided, right?
Yeah. I don't know, Mulder pushes him into a few walls, you know. He tries to get out of it. But, yeah, basically gets his ass handed to him, nearly gets garroted. But thankfully the conductor shows up with his gun that's got no bullets in. So I mean he can't do anything. Let's face it. That gun's got no bullets in. We saw Mulder take him out. The conductor knows it. As
incapable as the conductor is, he makes the smartest, most realistic decision I think anybody could do, and legs it.
Not only legs it, but he shuts that door again and locks them in. So So the conductor locks them in, and basically Mulder and the red-haired man, or McHattie as we'll call him, kind of have a bit of a... I really like this interaction, actually, between the two of them. So this guy claims to be an NSA agent, so National Security Agency, and that he's there to stop the destruction of the alien from a bomb that is on the train.
Yeah.
And this begins... Basically, so from this point on, we are going to have multiple people telling us different sides of what is going on here. And I have no idea which one of them we're supposed to believe.
Which I think is the point of this whole episode, where we're in truth lies somewhere between all of the stories, but none of them are completely truthful. If you get the drift. I like McHattie's performance in this because he feels dangerous. He
Yeah.
feels, even under the gun and disarmed, he feels as if he's in control. All his movements are controlled. He's just waiting for the perfect moment, and he looks dangerous.
Yeah, well, he takes time, doesn't he, to straighten his tie?
Yeah.
So, like, when he gets to the door that the conductor locks, and Mulder gets up and pulls a gun on him, Mulder's like kind of shouting at him, turn around, all this, and he doesn't rush about it. He just kind of sorts his tie out, straightens himself out, and then kind of casually just thinks, right, go on then, what are we going to do now? So he's definitely someone who don't give two rats' asses about anything at this point. But
I don't. It's more of I think it's a calm, a slow gesture as he weighs up the situation. You can almost see the wheel turning as he's like, how will I deal with this? Yeah, it just shows you the kind of lethal nature of him, which is good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's one. We go back to Scully now, but so let's just keep these explanations in mind, because these are all the different theories we're getting. So, according to this guy, that is an alien that's on the train. Zama is trying to destroy it. So someone's trying to destroy it to destroy the evidence. So they want to destroy it so that Zama's work, there's no evidence of Zama's work, and he's trying to stop that from happening. Apparently,
yes.
So right,
yeah, because they're saying that Zama's got. I think he says that Zama's taking the person or alien back to his home country because he's developed some kind of resistance to chemical warfare. Is that what he leads to McCarthy's character?
Yeah, that's so. We'll get to that. So, so basically, we go to Scully, and I can't remember this guy's name. They all have weird names, like well manicured man, cigarette smoking man. I called him Fat Man in this one because he's quite a large.
I've got a note of that. It was Elder. Or that's what it was according to IMDb.
Yeah, I think they do give him a name at some point. I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe it is the Elder or First Elder or something like that. But yeah, so he's one of the elders. He's one of the syndicate, basically. And he's got a face that no one could trust. But he turns up and tells Scully that Ishimaru was experimenting in secret, unsanctioned. And when Scully begins to ask questions, he says that he wants to show her something that will give her her answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going with this guy anywhere, quite frankly, but she's not really left with much choice given the armed guards outside. So
it's beware strangers offering gifts type of thing, isn't it? Yeah, when these clandestine groups appear and somebody's like, I'm going to give you some information, like instantly you should just be like, lies.
Yeah. Just like, why didn't you give me this information before? Why has it taken me finding this place right now for you to suddenly come out of the woodwork and start giving me information? So we go back to Mulder. Get them to the to the middle of nowhere, unpopulated area, and uncouple the cars, which is basically what they do. Again, it's a bridging the gap scene, which we're getting quite a bit of the whole bridging the gap when it comes to the Mulder stuff, and none of the stuff with Scully is bridging any gaps, which really flies in the face of everything I was saying last week. Because actually it shows that there is more elements of the Mulder storyline which is filler, whereas all the stuff with Scully is quite necessary. So during that scene, when they uncouple the cars, we do see that the position in which McHattie is sat, he sees a scalpel, so we know that's coming back later.
Oh yeah.
But so Mulder calls Scully, and he tells her what he's done. He says they won't want him to be found. It's like so she says they won't want him to be found, whereas he thinks they will. So basically, she's believing what she's being told by this elder guy, which is that this thing, this life form, is essentially a weapon based on genetic testing to kind of survive viruses and things like that, or something like that. Yeah. So they basically they want it destroyed, whereas Mulder believes it's an alien-human hybrid.
So they said hemorrhagic fever. It's going to release.
Yes.
It's like a human viral bomb almost.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what Scully believes. That's what she's being told. That this thing is like, if it gets released, you got hemorrhagic fever everywhere. So as far as they're concerned, they want it destroyed. Whereas Mulder's like, not buying it. This is an alien-human hybrid, and these suckers are going to want it. They're not going to destroy it. They're coming for it. So, and then when she tries to reason with him, he's like, oh, you break it.
Yeah.
Which is just like totally disrespectful to Scully. Yeah. Gotta be said. Yeah.
It just kind of goes to the lengths of where Mulder at certain points won't listen to reason. You know, he's got his beliefs, and they will be unshakable, even in the face of truth or proof. He doesn't want that. He's got his beliefs, and that's what he's going to chase.
Just wait till we get to the next episode. But yeah, he's very much single-minded, and anything, and that is his weakness. That's how he can often be manipulated.
Yeah,
you say the word alien, and you've got him there. You know, you've already got him on the hook. And it's just like other things that have rational explanations. He kind of doesn't really want to listen to it because it's like, no, aliens. It's got to be aliens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel like in this particular situation, I would probably err with Scully. Well, there's no probably about it. Let's be on the safe side. I would err with Scully. But so McHattie, after being threatened, says that the creature in the car is a weapon. Mulder theorizes it's an alien-human hybrid, immune to the effects of biological weapons. So that's what this guy is saying, is that basically they've been trying to put, because if you think about the alien bounty hunters, for example, the only way they could be killed was with a thing to the base of the neck. Yeah. So assuming I mean, I don't think the bounty hunters are the same as the alien greys, but either way, we know that within the realm of aliens, they have certain immunities. You can only kill them in certain ways. So clearly what they've been trying to do is create some kind of, well, in Mulder's thought pattern anyway, is create an alien-human hybrid. Why would you do that? Well, because chemical warfare is useless against them. Which would be... if you could make an army of soldiers that are immune to chemical warfare, you could pretty much go into any country and do what you want.
Which is the plot of how many movies as well.
I know, yeah. But this was way back in the 90s. So Scully uses Mulder's alien autopsy video to get the key code. And
that's after she panics. She puts the X in the window. She tries to call Matheson.
She does, yeah. So Matheson doesn't get in touch. I mean, we're going to find that out a little bit later on anyway. X doesn't get in touch because she puts the X on the window. So that's the reason I didn't mention it really. But yeah, I suppose it is important because it does show her panicking. It does show.
Yeah.
Well, it shows that she's being proactive. You know, it's like, I mean, even the chances of if X does answer, he's got to get there. He's got to give him a way out or whatever. Do they really have time for that? Probably not. But she's pulling out all the stops. She'll use any card she can if there's even a remote chance of saving Mulder. So it does show something. But yeah, she goes on the alien autopsy video, and Mulder gets his $29.95's worth or whatever it was he spent on that dodgy tape. And she finds Zama on it, pressing the code, and then she's relaying the code to Mulder, and she ain't so sure about that last number. And I know she ain't so sure because I sure as heck ain't so sure, because we're seeing what she's seeing, and I'm like, nope, that's just a blur. That could literally be
no number getting pressed there.
No, that could literally just be a wave of the hand. It could just be any number on the left.
What they really needed was one of those amazing technicians. Enhance. Enhance.
Boom, there it is. It's a 1. But she kind of wings it. I guess at this point she's thinking, well, it's going to be blown up in about 2 minutes anyway, so you just got to go with it, haven't you? Roll with it.
What's happening there is she's thinking back to when he hung up the phone, and she's like, one.
So McHattie. So just as Mulder hits the key code and it turns green, and he's like, celebrating, McHattie kind of stabs him with a scalpel in the back, and then kind of launches him on the floor, and then just rains down a beating on top of him. So once again, Mulder getting his ass handed to him. All fair play to Mulder. Fair play to Mulder in this case. You know, he did have his back turned to the guy. So, McHattie, straightens himself up, smartens himself, gets all like, got a bit of time to breathe. Just gonna mosey on off this train, and then boom, gets shot by none other than X. So X arrives, takes a look. Go on.
It stands over McHattie, kind of looks at him, goes, you know what? He's not a threat. He doesn't deserve a mercy pop. I'll just step over him.
Yeah, and this comes after we've already had Mulder in the episode talking about how, if you're NSA, you should know that a bullet to the stomach is perhaps the slowest and most painful way to die, which is exactly what X has just done to him. So, yeah. Well,
kind of. I mean, they still got an explosive finale to have. So
yeah.
He doesn't get to suffer for long.
No. X goes to where the alien human hybrid or the hemorrhagic fever patient is, who knows at this point, and he takes a look inside, and then he has his moment of consideration, and it really does look like he's considering which one does he take. Do I take Mulder and leave the alien human hybrid, or do I take the alien human hybrid? And thankfully, obviously, he takes Mulder, and just as he's leaving the train, it explodes in dramatic, mighty Rob Bowman fashion, and it makes for a nice kind of finale. But
it's a good explosion. It's good. Mm-hmm. I like it. And then one final sequence after this.
Well, what do you think of X here? What do you think his motives truly are? Like, what do you think he turned up to that train to save Mulder? Do you think he turned up to the train? Do you think he was the one assigned to get hold of the alien human hybrid? Or do you think he just went in there to clean up whatever mess kind of went on?
I think he's there to clean up the mess and to get Mulder out of that situation.
On his own reconnaissance, or
I don't know if he's been controlled or what, because he's adamant that Mulder shouldn't get on the train.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as he's on the train, he ends up giving Scully a little bit of information to keep her busy. And it's as if he goes straight to find the train and get Mulder.
Yeah.
Personally, That's what I'm getting out of it, you know,
Yeah.
because it does give Scully enough to distract her for the episode.
Well, I mean, it's more than a distraction, isn't it? He's,
Yeah.
it essentially does give her some answers, but
it leads you towards like what truths is he holding if he can throw out this one to keep her busy.
Yeah. It's staggering just how many like you get to this episode, the end of well, let's just, so like you said, it's 1 week later, and we find out that Senator Matheson ain't returning his phone calls, and Ishimaru's briefcase has been swapped. So the briefcase that Mulder kept in the last episode. Mulder and Scully both believe different things, and either one could be right. Are aliens real, or just a smokescreen created by the government to hide the truth? Which feeds into the whole apology is policy. So, they're not concerned with the truth, they're only concerned with hiding it. And it does beg the question, is everything that Mulder has seen concerning aliens, is it a government hoax? And is Mulder only being kept alive because he is essentially the spokesperson for that hoax? He keeps the lies alive. This is something that will come up time and time again throughout the show.
Seemingly, this episode seemingly puts a close to Scully's abduction by aliens. Like it's kind of
in her mind.
Yeah, and in
her mind
at the moment.
That
white room within the train, the doctor, everything seems to have come together.
It does, but it doesn't mean that they're not. It doesn't mean that they're not working with the aliens.
No.
But I think when I watch this episode, it makes me think about episodes like EBE. So we get the thing with the alien on the truck being carted around, and then we have that scene at the end with Deep Throat and Mulder, where Mulder's trying to run to the big glass cabinet to see if the alien's in there. And it's not, and Deep Throat's there, and he tells him about he was the one of the first guy to be involved in an alien autopsy, and it does make you think: was Deep Throat really all part of a wider government conspiracy, which is designed to make people believe there is a conspiracy, to make people believe there is aliens, in order to hide something greater, something more insidious and horrific?
The only thing is we as viewers have seen other things that can't be discounted like that, like the bounty hunters, like the alien spacecraft, the filing cabinet mounted.
Yeah, but that's if you assume the alien bounty hunter is indeed an alien.
Yeah,
and not some kind of human experimentation. It's just, I think that's the question that's raised at the end of this. Anyway, Obviously, I'm more inclined to believe at this point, aliens are real. Scully's having the wool pulled over her eyes somehow. I don't quite know how to
see. At this point, I'm sure about the aliens. I think there is aliens, but I also think that Scully has just been experimented on by this crazed Japanese doctor, and it's two different things. She's correct. She's not been abducted, but yes, there are aliens. That's where I'm at the moment.
Okay. I just don't trust that guy when he comes in and just starts telling Scully everything. I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him. I never did, and it's not just rewatch factor coming into play. I just even when I remember when I watched this way back when, I just felt like she was being fed a pack of lies and swallowing it hook, line and sinker. But we'll see, I guess. Or maybe we won't, because the X-Files gets pretty convoluted, it's got to be said. Last scene, shot really. We get Cancer Man sitting there while Dr. Hugo Strange translates Ishimaru's journal. So for any Batman fans there, this guy just looked like Dr. Hugo Strange, which is a Batman character. So Cancerman, once again, just showing up at the end, always behind the scenes,
living life in a cigarette advert. Just
living his best life.
Yeah. And yet somehow you're like, wow, he's smoking and it's cool and weird stuff's going on. And excellent. So so there we have it. Episode 731. Wrap up, I guess. Will I jump in first, Brian?
Yeah, go on. First.
I like this episode. Generally, it was pretty fun. I think both stories are pretty interesting. There's a couple of little points that made me giggle that probably shouldn't, but that just could be down to me being me. It's one of those pretty solid episodes, but it's not one that I would really rush back to again. I think as part of a two-parter story, it works well. Both are on a par, and I would like to have seen Mick Hattie's character survive and come back later on. Which is a shame. There's lots of information, which is really interesting as well. And I'm stuck for a rating on this one. So I'm between a 4 and a 4.5. And I think I did prefer it to the first episode.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of good answers to that, and I think I'm going to go for a 4.5 on this one.
Yeah. The grade I wrote down here was a 5. I gave this a 5 out of 5. But just talking it through, there were a few little minor kind of inconsistencies. The main thing that jumps out at me is that address. How Pendrell gets the address for a secret government project that has just put their manufacturer logo on a chip that they don't want anybody to know anything about. That boggles my mind. I think I'll go with a 4.5 as well. It's very exposition heavy, this episode. It does feel like nearly every scene is somebody telling you something.
But when it's that interesting, you don't mind as much, you know.
I'll go with a 4.5 out of 5 as well, I think.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about episode 11, Revelations.
I like it. I actually quite like it a fair bit. But I'll say this now: you could go either way on this, because this one it's quite religious heavy.
I'm out.
So there's a lot of stuff in there about the stigmata. That strange looking guy from The Hills Have Eyes is in it.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah. So, but the strong point is that it is very Scully centric.
Ooh, I'm back in.
It is absolutely a Scully centric episode. It is all about. She's the driving force on the case. Really, it's kind of her story, which again, I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it. But let's just say there's one moment in it where I think Mulder's a douchebag. But it's definitely a Scully episode. I like it. I think it speaks to me as a person of faith. I think it's pretty well executed. But
okay,
we'll
sounds
see.
good.
I think you're a tough one to call on this one, I think.
Okay. We'll find out. So join us next episode where we are talking Revelations. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the X-Files Revisited.